Cary Grant died last night in Davenport, Iowa, of a stroke. One film critic said he had the longest romantic reign in the short history of movies.
I can assure you of her sincere love for all people and her hope to further the cause of women's rights. Cary Grant was Hollywood's ultimate leading man, charming, sophisticated, and seemingly flawless. In 1966, he gave it all up to raise his only daughter, Jennifer. To the world, it looked like a heartwarming story of a devoted father leaving fame behind for his family, but behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. Years later, Jennifer finally spoke out, revealing a side of her father that no one expected. Was Cary Grant's love genuine, or was it something far more complicated? This is the shocking truth about their troubled relationship. Cary Grant's rocky romances painted a life of love, loss, and hidden struggles. His love life was a whirlwind of passion, heartbreak, and scandal, often playing out like one of his Hollywood films filled with drama, betrayal, and shocking revelations. His first marriage to Virginia Cherrill began on February 9, 1934, but within just over a year, it crumbled. By March 26, 1935, they were officially divorced, but not before their volatile relationship made headlines. Their marriage was riddled with fights and accusations, with Virginia even claiming that Cary once tried to strangle her in the heat of an argument. The divorce proceedings were far from amicable, and in the end, Virginia walked away with a staggering $100,000, a fortune at the time. The public was fascinated by the messy split, setting the stage for Cary's turbulent romantic life to come. His second marriage, however, was even more intriguing. On July 8, 1942, Cary married Barbara Hutton, one of the wealthiest women in the world, heiress to the immense Woolworth fortune. Their union was cynically dubbed Cash and Cary by the press, with many assuming he was in it for her wealth. Determined to prove otherwise, Cary insisted on signing a prenuptial agreement, refusing to take a single penny from her fortune. Their relationship, though glamorous on the surface, was strained from the beginning. Cary, who knew poverty as a child, could not relate to Barbara's extravagant lifestyle and reckless spending. They separated after only 3 months but tried to mend their broken marriage before ultimately divorcing on August 30, 1945. Despite the failure of their romance, Cary remained a steadfast friend to Barbara, offering her emotional support during difficult times and earning respect for never taking financial advantage of her wealth. His third marriage took a different turn. On Christmas Day in 1949, Cary married actress Betsy Drake, and for the first time, it seemed like he had found something stable. Their love story had begun aboard the Queen Mary, where they met and fell for each other almost instantly. This marriage, lasting 13 years, would be his longest. Betsy introduced Cary to something highly controversial at the time, LSD therapy. Under medical supervision, Cary experimented with the drug over 100 times, believing it helped him confront and heal from his painful past. But while Cary found solace in these experiences, Betsy struggled with her issues. She survived the infamous sinking of the Andrea Doria in 1956, a traumatic event that haunted her. Over time, she felt like she was losing herself in the effort to make Cary happy. Eventually, their marriage ended in 1962, and Betsy later pursued a career as a therapist, inspired by their shared experiences with LSD and emotional exploration. The next chapter of Cary's love life brought new complications. At the age of 61, he married actress Diane Cannon, who was just 28 at the time. Their wedding on July 22, 1965, raised eyebrows due to their vast age difference, but at first, they seemed blissfully happy. In 1966, they welcomed their daughter Jennifer, and Cary was overjoyed to become a father for the first time. But the fairy tale quickly unraveled. Diane later revealed that Cary was deeply controlling, scrutinizing everything from her appearance to her career choices. She also accused him of pressuring her into trying LSD, which led to terrifying experiences for her. Their bitter divorce in 1968 was riddled with allegations of abuse and an intense custody battle over Jennifer. Although their split was acrimonious, they eventually found a way to co-parent peacefully for their daughter's sake. By the time Cary reached his final marriage, he had seen and experienced it all: the fiery passion, the betrayals, the heartbreak. But in 1981, at 77 years old, he finally found a sense of peace with Barbara Harris, a hotel public relations executive 47 years his junior. Unlike his previous marriages, this one was built on mutual understanding and tranquility. The couple had known each other for years before tying the knot on April 11, 1981, and their relationship was marked by quiet companionship rather than drama. Away from the relentless glare of Hollywood, Cary spent his later years traveling with Barbara and enjoying a serene, low-profile life. For many, this final chapter was the happiest of his life. They remained together until his passing in 1986. Cary Grant's love life was a journey of highs and lows, each relationship leaving its mark on him. But beneath the glamour and scandal, one truth remained: he was always searching for something elusive, something beyond fame and fortune. Perhaps that search was rooted in something far deeper, something shaped by the hard years of his early life. But what was it about his childhood that haunted him so deeply, and how did it shape the man the world adored? Stay with us as we uncover the painful truth behind Cary Grant's past. Cary Grant, the painful secrets behind Hollywood's most charming star. Cary Grant, the epitome of Hollywood charm and sophistication, had a childhood far removed from the glitz and glamour he later embodied. Born Archibald Alec Leach on January 18, 1904, in a modest home in Bristol, England, he grew up in a household plagued by financial hardship. His father, Elias, worked as a clothing presser, barely making enough to support the family, while his mother, Elsie, stayed home, dreaming of becoming a seamstress. Money was always tight, and the Leach family constantly moved from one place to another, never able to settle in a permanent home. Despite their struggles, there were moments of happiness. Young Archie found joy in rare family outings like summer picnics in the countryside or visits to the Bristol Hippodrome, where he watched live performances with wide-eyed wonder. It was there that his fascination with entertainment began. At just 4 years old, he started learning to play the piano, and by 6, he had fallen in love with tap dancing. His mother, recognizing his talent, saved every penny she could to buy him a pair of tap shoes. Night after night, he would practice on the kitchen floor, his tiny feet tapping out rhythms that filled their home. But childhood innocence is fragile, and for Archie, it was shattered most heartbreakingly when he was 9 years old. He came home from school one day to find his mother gone. Confused and scared, he asked his father where she was, only to be told that she had gone on an extended holiday. Days turned into weeks, then months, and still, she did not return. The truth, which he wouldn't learn for over 20 years, was far more devastating. Elsie had been placed in a mental institution due to serious health issues, but his father never told him, leaving the boy to believe that she had abandoned him. The loss of his mother affected him deeply. He withdrew into himself, developed a stammer, and even began wetting the bed. School became unbearable, and his rebellious streak grew stronger. At 14, after being caught sneaking into the girls' bathroom, he was expelled. Instead of feeling defeated, he saw it as an opportunity. He returned to the one place that had always fascinated him, the Bristol Hippodrome. It was there that he met Bob Pender, a well-known comedy troupe leader who specialized in physical comedy and stage tricks. Pender saw potential in the lanky teenager and offered him a chance to train with his performers. Determined to prove himself, Archie threw himself into rigorous training, learning acrobatics, stilt walking, and comedic timing. His first performance was a disaster. He froze on stage and had to be carried off. But instead of giving up, he practiced harder, eventually earning a reputation for his daring stunts. He became known as Archie Leach, the rubber-legged wonder. Then, in 1920, an opportunity arose that would change his life forever. The Pender troupe planned a tour in America, and Archie was invited to join them. At just 16 years old, he boarded a ship to New York City, his mind filled with dreams of something bigger. Stepping onto American soil for the first time, he felt a sense of possibility unlike anything he had ever known. The towering buildings, the energy of the city, it was a world apart from Bristol. The troupe performed at the New York Hippodrome, the largest theater in the world, and their shows were a success. But when the tour ended, Archie made a bold decision. He refused to return home. With almost no money and no real plan, he stayed in America, taking whatever jobs he could find to survive. He walked on stilts at Coney Island, sold neckties, and even worked as an escort for wealthy women at high society parties. These jobs weren't just a way to make ends meet, they became a masterclass in reinvention. He studied the way the wealthy carried themselves, mimicked their mannerisms, and refined his persona. In 1927, after years of struggle, he landed a small role in a Broadway musical. It wasn't a breakthrough, but it was a start. By 1931, he decided to take another leap, Hollywood. Paramount Pictures quickly took notice of the handsome, charismatic young actor, but there was one problem: his name. Archie Leach didn't sound like a leading man. The studio executives helped him craft a new identity, choosing the name Cary from a stage role he had played and Grant from a list of suggestions. With that, Cary Grant was born. His early roles were minor, but his talent was undeniable. Then, in 1933, everything changed. He starred alongside Mae West in She Done Him Wrong, a daring comedy that became a massive hit. It not only saved Paramount Pictures from financial ruin but also turned Grant into a rising star. He followed it up with another film with Mae West, I'm No Angel, and soon his salary skyrocketed, a clear sign that Hollywood had found its next leading man. But as his fame grew, something remained unresolved: the painful wounds of his childhood, the emptiness left by his mother's absence, and the lingering question of who he was beyond the persona he had so carefully constructed. Hollywood had given him success, but was it enough? As he climbed higher, a new journey began, the search for self-realization. But what happens when the past refuses to stay buried? And how did the painful secrets of his childhood shape the man the world adored? Stay with us, because the most revealing part of Cary Grant's story is just beginning. Cary Grant's LSD journey was a path to healing and self-discovery. In 1958, at the height of his fame, Cary Grant, Hollywood's most charming leading man, embarked on a deeply personal and unexpected journey. At 54, he was not searching for another blockbuster role or another glamorous romance. Instead, he was looking inward, hoping to understand himself in ways he never had before. What led him down this unconventional path? A past filled with painful secrets and unresolved emotions. Grant's struggles began early in life. At just 11 years old, he came home one day to find his mother missing. His father told him she had gone on a long vacation, but that wasn't true. Years later, he discovered the heartbreaking reality: his father had secretly placed her in a mental institution. This shocking betrayal shaped much of Grant's adult life, creating deep emotional scars that he carried with him even as he became one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. The constant need to maintain a perfect image on and off the screen only added to the weight he bore in silence. His third wife, actress Betsy Drake, introduced him to something that would change his life forever: LSD-assisted therapy. Unlike today, when discussions about mental health and alternative therapies are more common, in the 1950s, this was considered highly unconventional. But Drake had already tried it under the guidance of Dr. Mortimer Hartman at a Beverly Hills clinic and found it to be profoundly helpful. Intrigued and desperate to heal, Grant decided to give it a try. Thus began a 4-year journey of intense self-exploration. From 1958 to 1961, Grant underwent around 100 LSD therapy sessions, each lasting approximately 5 hours. During these sessions, he would take a carefully measured dose of LSD, a powerful mind-altering substance, while being guided through his thoughts, emotions, and long-buried memories. These experiences, though often strange and overwhelming, forced him to confront the painful moments of his past: his mother's disappearance, his troubled relationships, and the deep insecurities that lurked behind his famous on-screen persona. While engaging in this unconventional therapy, Grant continued his Hollywood career, starring in some of his most iconic films, including North by Northwest and Portrayed. Many who worked with him during this period noticed a change. He seemed lighter and more at peace, as though shedding the burdens he had carried for decades. What made Grant's experience even more shocking was his openness about it. In 1959, he spoke to Look magazine about his LSD sessions, boldly stating, "At last, I am close to happiness." In 1960, he even reached out to Good Housekeeping magazine, determined to share his experience with a wider audience. "I want to tell the world about this," he declared. "It has changed my life. Everyone's got to take it." At a time when discussing mental health was taboo and taking a psychedelic drug was nearly unthinkable for a Hollywood star, Grant's willingness to be so candid was groundbreaking. But his therapy sessions were anything but ordinary. He described surreal visions, including one where he imagined himself as a giant rocket-like figure blasting off from Earth, an image both bizarre and strangely symbolic of his transformation. Despite the unusual nature of these experiences, Grant believed the therapy helped him in profound ways. He credited it with reducing his emotional pain, controlling his drinking, and finally making peace with the wounds of his childhood. But just as Grant was beginning to find inner clarity, another major transformation was about to unfold in his life: the birth of his only child, Jennifer. How would a man who had spent years searching for himself handle the responsibility of fatherhood? Would the painful lessons of his childhood influence the way he raised his daughter? The answers to these questions would shape the final chapter of Cary Grant's life in ways no one could have predicted. Cary Grant's greatest role, choosing fatherhood over fame, began in 1966, the same year his daughter Jennifer was born. Grant made an unprecedented move that stunned Hollywood. He announced his retirement from acting at the pinnacle of his career. With legendary roles in films like North by Northwest and Charade, Grant was on top of the world, yet he made the surprising decision to step away from it all, leaving the fame, glamour, and offers for big paychecks behind. One such offer was a $1 million contract with Universal Studios for a movie, but Grant turned it down without hesitation. His last film, Walk, Don't Run, was released that year, and after that, he vanished from the screen for good. Instead of chasing after fame and fortune, Grant devoted himself entirely to fatherhood. He left behind his bachelor lifestyle in Hollywood and settled into a quieter, family-friendly home in Beverly Hills, where he could focus on raising Jennifer. Gone were the days of extravagant parties and red carpet events. In their place were peaceful nights at home, reading bedtime stories and watching his daughter grow. He was often seen strolling through the park with Jennifer in her stroller or playing with her outside. Unlike many celebrities, Grant didn't rely on nannies to care for his daughter. His difficult childhood, marked by poverty and fractured family life, inspired him to create a different, more loving world for Jennifer. His own experiences with an alcoholic father and a mother placed in a mental institution drove him to want something better for his daughter, a stable and nurturing life free from the instability he had endured. This devotion to fatherhood wasn't just about being present. Grant made it his mission to preserve every moment of Jennifer's childhood. He invested in high-quality recording equipment and meticulously documented her early years, filming her first steps, recording family conversations, and even tracking her eating and sleeping habits. He saved everything from her schoolwork to her baby teeth, even keeping her first words, "good stuff," as precious memories. To protect these treasures, he had a climate-controlled vault built in their home. His motivation was rooted in the loss of his childhood mementos during the bombings of World War II, which had left him with nothing from his early years. The archive he created was so vast that Jennifer spent almost 2 decades going through it after his death. This incredible collection inspired her memoir, which she published in 2011. But what did Jennifer reveal about her father that no one ever expected? The answers may surprise you. Stay with us to uncover a side of Cary Grant that will change everything you thought you knew about him. Cary Grant through his daughter's eyes. For decades, Cary Grant captivated audiences with his effortless charm, impeccable style, and legendary on-screen presence. However, behind the glamour of Hollywood was a man deeply devoted to his daughter, Jennifer Grant. In her memoir, Good Stuff, a reminiscence of my father, Cary Grant, Jennifer provided an intimate glimpse into the private life of the beloved actor, revealing a side of him that the world had rarely seen. Jennifer spent 5 years writing the book, drawing from recordings, videos, and keepsakes her father had meticulously preserved throughout her childhood. Through these cherished mementos, she painted a portrait of Grant not as a Hollywood icon but as a doting father who prioritized family over fame. Far from his polished, suave image on screen, Grant's everyday life was surprisingly simple. He preferred shopping at the Gap over luxury boutiques and often wore Levi's 501 jeans. One of the most touching anecdotes in Jennifer's memoir highlighted the extraordinary lengths Grant went to be involved in her life. Every Halloween, he rented a house in her trick-or-treating neighborhood just to watch her in costume. He was the father who waved goodbye to her school bus every morning, read her bedtime stories, and celebrated every childhood milestone. Unlike many celebrity parents, Grant didn't rely on nannies. Instead, he was hands-on in raising his daughter, a commitment likely influenced by his troubled childhood. Despite his immense wealth, Grant instilled strong values in Jennifer, teaching her financial responsibility and the importance of hard work. This became evident in 1968 when he made an unexpected career move. Instead of continuing his Hollywood success, he took a role as a director at the Fab Company, earning far less than his acting salary. His primary reason was that the job granted him access to a private jet, allowing him to visit Jennifer frequently. Grant's personal life had always been a subject of speculation, particularly his close bond with actor Randolph Scott, with whom he shared a home for many years. Some rumors suggested their relationship went beyond friendship. However, Jennifer has been candid about the father she knew, firmly denying such claims. She explained that her father's friendship with Scott was simply a deep bond that was easily misunderstood, especially considering the societal norms of that era. My father always respected and cherished the people he loved, whether they were friends or family, Jennifer shared. He didn't care what people thought, and that made me admire him even more. Adding to the layers of his private life, Jennifer was recently surprised to discover footage of her father smoking. I couldn't believe it, she admitted. My dad despised smoking and couldn't stand being around smokers. The sight was shocking considering how firm he was against the habit later in life, but she acknowledged that people change over time. By the time I was born, so much had changed. He had been a smoker in the past, and I know quitting isn't always easy. Grant's final years and lasting legacy were equally remarkable. In his later years, Cary Grant remained in the public eye through his one-man show, A Conversation with Cary Grant, captivating audiences with personal stories. However, on November 29, 1986, while preparing for a performance in Davenport, Iowa, he suffered a fatal stroke. Despite feeling unwell, he refused medical attention and later slipped into a coma, passing away at 11:22 p.m. His death shook Hollywood, prompting heartfelt tributes from icons like Ronald Reagan, Alfred Hitchcock, and Frank Sinatra. Grant's estate, valued between $60 and $80 million, was left mainly to his wife and daughter, with charitable donations included. Ever private, he requested no public funeral, and his ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean. His legacy endures, with the American Film Institute ranking him among the greatest male stars. Beyond film, he influenced fashion and inspired generations of actors, though his greatest role was that of a devoted father. What do you think about the life and legacy of Cary Grant? Don't forget to like and subscribe.